She sat at the corner table of the small cafe, heart pounding so loudly she swore the waiter could hear it. The soft glow of fairy lights reflected off the window beside her, and the rain outside tapped a nervous rhythm against the glass. She had convinced herself this would be just another ordinary blind date, one she wasn't even sure she wanted to attend, but within the next hour her life would be shaken in a way she never expected, because the man she was about to meet would reach into his pocket, and without a word place on the table a worn, faded photograph of her at 8 years old, smiling with a missing front tooth, holding a red balloon. And nothing about her life would ever feel normal again. If you believe in kindness, destiny, and second chances, then please like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel. Your engagement helps us create more heart-touching stories for you. Her name was Zara, a 28-year-old primary school teacher who had long stopped hoping for grand love stories. Life had humbled her early. Her parents separated when she was 10, her father walked away to start a new family, and her mother struggled through long nights and longer days to raise her alone. Zara learned to become the strong one, the girl who held her emotions together for the sake of her mother, who learned early that expectations often led to heartbreak. Even love, something she once dreamed of in fairy tale colors, had dulled into shades of fear, mistrust, and caution. She had been engaged at 24 to a man who claimed to adore her, only for him to break things off months before the wedding, choosing someone he believed was more suitable for his family's standards. Ever since, Zara promised herself she wouldn't let love make a fool of her again. She settled into a routine life of teaching children, reading books, avoiding emotional risks, and pretending the idea of companionship didn't pull at her heart in the quiet hours of night. Her best friend, Aisha, however, refused to accept Zara living life like a closed book. So when Aisha arranged a blind date with a man she believed was different, Zara reluctantly agreed, not out of hope, but because she was too tired to argue anymore. The cafe was warm, softly decorated, with shelves of books along the walls and the comforting smell of coffee drifting through the air. Zara chose a seat near the window, wearing a soft beige sweater and a small pendant her mother had given her years ago. She checked her watch again. 6 minutes past the meeting time. Her fingers toyed with the pendant, a habit she formed whenever she felt anxious. Just when she began to consider leaving, the door to the cafe opened, and a tall man with gentle features, dark hair, and kind eyes stepped inside. He scanned the room, spotted her, and offered a warm, courteous smile. As he approached, she noticed there was something calm, composed, yet quietly emotional about him. His name was Rayyan. They exchanged pleasantries, though awkwardly at first. Zara kept her guard up, answering his questions politely but without emotion. She didn't want to give him the impression she was here with hopes or expectations. But Rayyan didn't seem rushed. He spoke softly, listened more than he talked, and showed a thoughtful sincerity that slowly chipped at her defenses. He told her he was a pediatric counselor, someone who worked closely with children going through emotional difficulties. His voice carried warmth when he spoke about his job, and Zara found herself silently admiring how deeply he cared for others. Still, a weight sat between them. Not awkwardness, but something unspoken. Several times, Zara caught him studying her face as if searching for recognition or courage to say something he held back. She assumed he was simply nervous, the way blind dates often go. It wasn't until their coffees arrived that everything changed. Rayyan cleared his throat, took a slow breath, and said there was something he needed to show her. Zara's heart skipped. Before she could respond, he reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small envelope. From it, he took out a photograph. Old, edges slightly torn, colors faded by time. He placed it gently on the table, sliding it toward her. Zara stared at the image, confused. Her breath caught midway. It was her, at 8 years old, standing in a park holding a red balloon, her hair tied in uneven ponytails, wearing a lilac dress her mother had saved 3 months of sewing money to buy. Her body froze. "How do you have this?" she whispered, her voice thin as thread. Rayyan looked down for a moment before meeting her eyes, his expression full of emotion, and then, slowly, he revealed the story she never expected to hear. When they were children, Rayyan and his little sister, Hanya, lived in the same neighborhood as Zara. Hanya had been Zara's closest childhood friend. They would play in the community park together every evening. Zara used to bring extra snacks to share with Hania because she knew the little girl often pretended she wasn't hungry at home, especially during the year Hania's father lost his job, and their house felt cold, heavy with silence and worry. Zara's kindness, Rayan explained, had been a lifeline for his sister. Hania would come home after meeting Zara and talk endlessly about her. About Zara's laughter, her kindness, how she always wore mismatched socks, and how she once promised they would grow up and never stop being friends. But then came the year Zara's parents separated. Overnight, Zara and her mother moved away. No goodbyes, no explanation. One day she was there, the next she was gone. Hania was devastated. She waited at the park for weeks, clutching that very photograph of the two of them, Zara taken by Rayan during a spring fair. Hania believed that if she held onto the picture, Zara would come back someday. But life wasn't kind. Hania grew ill the following winter, an unexpected illness that took her life far too soon. At just 10 years old, she never got to see Zara again. Rayan's voice cracked as he spoke about his sister. He shared that before passing, Hania had asked him to make one promise. If he ever found Zara again, he should tell her that Hania never stopped waiting for her, never blamed her for leaving, and that she cherished every moment they shared. And he was to return that photograph to her. The cafe felt impossibly still. Zara's eyes blurred with tears as she picked up the photograph, tracing the image with trembling fingers. Memories she had long buried resurfaced. Hania's laughter, their games, the innocent promises of childhood. She felt a crushing guilt she never knew she carried. She had been just a child, yet a part of her heart broke at the thought that she had unknowingly left someone who loved her so deeply. Rayan admitted that he had searched for Zara for years. Not romantically, not with expectations, but because of a promise made to a dying little sister. When he discovered through mutual acquaintances that Zara had moved back to the city, he wanted to approach her gently. But when he met Aisha and she mentioned she had a friend named Zara she hoped to set up on a date, something in him felt it was time. It wasn't coincidence. It felt like fate bringing closure to years of unfinished emotions. Zara sat in silence, tears rolling freely down her cheeks. But there was no pressure in Rayan's eyes, no expectation, only sincerity, empathy, and a shared grief of childhood wounds. As the rain continued to fall outside, they talked for a long time about childhood memories, the pain of losing people, the pressure of growing up in broken families, the loneliness that clings to the heart when trust is lost. For the first time in years, Zara didn't hold back. She spoke openly, vulnerably, and Rayan listened, not as a man trying to win affection, but as someone who understood pain because he had lived it too. The date was not a romance anymore. It was about healing. In the weeks that followed, Zara found herself thinking about that evening constantly. She returned to the park where she and Hania had played and sat on the old swings, imagining two little girls laughing again. The memory hurt, but it also warmed her, reminding her of the joy she once knew. Slowly, she began opening up to life again. She met with Rayan often, not as forced blind date partners, but as two souls gently rebuilding their ability to trust. Their connection grew, not fast, not dramatic, but sincere. Rayan treated her with patience and respect, never rushing her emotions, and Zara found comfort in the quiet presence of a man who understood wounds that were invisible to others. Love didn't arrive like a whirlwind, it came like a sunrise, slow, tender, and beautiful in its steady warmth. One evening, months later, they returned to the same cafe where everything began. Rayan placed the same photograph on the table, but this time, Zara smiled at it instead of crying. She thanked him, not just for fulfilling his sister's wish, but for giving her a chance to heal, to remember who she once was, and to believe again in connections that were genuine. Near the end of your viewing, if this story has touched your heart even a little, then please like, share, and comment. Your support means more than you know and helps us reach more hearts with meaningful stories. Zara later framed the photograph, placing it on her bedside table, not as a reminder of regret, but as a symbol of pure childhood love and the power of showing kindness without expecting anything in return. It reminded her that even small moments can shape lives, and even short-lived relationships can leave eternal marks. Before we end, tell us in the comments, have you ever met someone in life who reminded you of a long-lost memory or healed a part of your heart you didn't know was still hurting? Years later, when Zara and Rayan eventually grew into something deeper, something that resembled the gentle kind of love their childhood selves would have believed in, they visited Hania's resting place together. Zara placed beside her headstone a red balloon and a small letter she wrote to her childhood friend. She promised never to forget her again. And as the balloon floated into the sky, Zara realized something profound. Life has a way of returning the people and memories we need, exactly when we are ready to face them. Some meetings are not accidents. Some hearts are meant to reconnect, not to repeat the past, but to heal it. If this story left even a small tear in your eye or warmth in your heart, please support this video with a like, share it with someone who needs hope, and don't forget to subscribe for more soul-touching stories.